Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Girls Talk 9.0, where we candidly talk about horror films and occasionally the topic du jour. Today, we're going to talk about the 2020 film directed by Bishal Dutta. Hopefully, I pronounced the name correctly. It's called It Lives Inside. My name is Whaley Hollow, and with me today, we have the lovely Nanya. What's up?
Hey,
Do anything fun this weekend? How's it going?
good. How you doing?
Good, good. As you can see, I finally got my microphone working. Shout out to Yoshi420 for testing this with me. I don't even know what the issue was. I just kept turning it off and on, able, disable, and all of a sudden it decided it would work. So here we are. Here we are.
You go.
And I'm sorry.
I said, there we go.
There we go. There we go. And also we have my sister from another Mr. Sunchild.
Hey,
Welcome back.
thank you.
Happy belated.
Thank you.
Did you do anything special?
Yeah, I went away to the Caribbean and it was amazing.
Lovely, lovely. That's where I want to be right now, in the Caribbean.
I
Right,
wish I was still there. Yes.
right. Now,
Thank
can you drink the water where you were?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Because I know I
Beautiful.
struggled a little bit with the water in Mexico. Although, I mean, I got used to it, but still, it was a little. I kept forgetting when I went to go brush my teeth. It was like, oh, I can't
I
use.
know. Yeah, you got to be really careful. I did get sick in Mexico once from that, brushing my teeth and shower, wash your face and all that. Just consuming a little bit. I guess it was like high levels or whatever at that time, but yeah. So this was like amazing.
Awesome. And the weather
Refresh
was good the whole time?
perfection. Like if I died and went to heaven, like I couldn't tell the difference. Am I still alive? Or like it was crazy. It was beautiful. I just wanted to show you all something too. Somebody got me. If you could see.
Okay.
If you watch Cat Williams, you'll know.
Yes.
Is that what he said during his interview?
That's what he was doing. The mic and the cognac. So if
Yep.
I think
Oh, okay.
I'm about to
Okay.
stand on facts, just I'm about to roast you.
Yep.
Gotcha.
You got receipts?
Gotcha.
You got your receipts?
Receipts. I just had to say that because it was funny. It was a gift.
Awesome. Shout out to Cat Williams, I guess.
Oh, can't wait.
All right. Well, like I mentioned, we're going to talk about the 2023 film It Lives Inside. And basically, this is about a young girl who is burdened with keeping this demon. I think it's called Bishash. I don't know if that I pronounced that correctly, but that's the way phonetically I wrote it down. And basically, it's a demon that manifests itself out of negativity and breeds
Well,
on flesh and bones or meat or whatever. And so we find this poor girl with this burden and how she, unfortunately, the demon escapes or gets out and how she has to get it back in. So basically, that's it in a nutshell. So how about Sunchild? Why don't you tell us your thoughts on this one?
so I went away. I watched it and then I went away and I didn't watch it again. But I do recall that I liked it. I the subtitles in the beginning I was not a fan of. I didn't find it relaxing because I was at the movies, so I was laid back and I had to lean up. But that was just like the first like 20 minutes or so. So I have to say, I did like it. I found it interesting. A lot of times I watch horror movies that are teenagers and it was PG-13. So I was like, is this going to be any good? But I actually liked it. I found it interesting. I was curious. It was engaging. I wanted to know more about what this thing in the jar was and what was it doing. I did read some of what it was about before I went to see it. So it fed on loneliness. And I was like, well, that's a good concept because I think, that is scary to a lot of people. Growing old, being young and being lonely is like probably the same level as being older and being lonely. It's that same, like there's a big world out there, but you just feel like you're alone. So I did like that. I thought the monster was scary. I liked that you couldn't really see him. He was kind of like I like when movies make you use more of your imagination. So I like that I didn't get like a good glimpse of him. He was more like a menacing shadow figure than anything. Um, I felt like it could have been a little more, maybe like in depth, like the whole, I don't know, the whole how it came about it to begin with. Maybe I wanted to know, or maybe I missed that part. If it said like where did it originate from? How did it come to be? Who put it in the jar? Maybe I missed all of that. What is it about the jar that contains him? But I did like that, I mean, if somebody came to you and said that, you wouldn't believe it. They would think you're crazy too. And she had this terrifying fear of it, which I think became bigger than her loneliness. Like she almost wanted to alienate herself from people to protect them from this thing in the jar. But I felt like it for a PG-13 movie, and I don't know much about the writer or the director. I didn't look into the background, but I felt that it's a good movie. I liked it.
Okay. Nanya, what'd you think?
It was okay. I didn't, it was really nothing to dislike, but it wasn't a lot to like from my perspective. Um, I just felt like it was um took jump scares from every other movie I've seen. Like it had the exact same jump scares. Kid on the bed, somebody in the closet, walking down the hall of a school or some corridor and the lights go off one by one. Walk into the kitchen and the mother's staring into a corner and she's acting weird and it's not the mother. Like we've seen those exact three things in probably 50 movies. So I felt like it was just the same scares. It was not anything to me that felt original about it. I didn't was not afraid of the monster. To me, he kind of looked like a mini Godzilla. He looked like about a 7 foot tall Godzilla, maybe even 6 foot 5. And I wouldn't have been afraid of him. Um, Not that he couldn't have killed me. He would have killed me in seconds, but I would have probably laughed before I ran. Um, and there was just an element of it, to your point, Sunchild, it was PG-13. It felt like a teenager's date night horror movie, like what you'd go see if you were 17 and you wanted to put your arm around a girl, because there was nothing to me even remotely scary about it. It felt like a after school special. Sounds like I hated the movie. I didn't. It just wasn't moving for me. There were some good things about it. I did like the fact that the family came together because we've seen so many movies with dysfunctional families. It was
That's
nice to
true.
see
That's
a
true.
a normal family. I
Yeah.
mean, some dysfunctions in every family, but I think most of us can operate on a day to day, unlike some of these people in these movies. She went to her mother. Her mother believed her, came up with the solution. They worked together. It was like, what? I mean, you never see that. But that's realistic to me because if you're a teenager and you're in trouble, even if you hate your parents, you're knocking on their door eventually for help. So I like that part. And I like the idea of introducing us to evil spirits from other cultures. Didn't feel like they went far enough with the lore because I really didn't walk away feeling like I knew what this evil thing was. Like I feel like I know what a Babadook is now, right? I know what a jinn is now, right? Because those movies have pushed in our heads. I feel like I don't know what this evil thing was. And I thought the mother, God bless her, was so put together. I mean, she gets a point for me alone. Like her makeup, her hair, her clothes. She looked like she was in a soap opera all the time. She looked so put together. And the food on the table looked amazing. So those are all my positives. So those are the reasons I didn't necessarily it'd be fine, but it just wasn't for me.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think I would probably tend to agree more with Nanya. A plus plus for having beautiful brown women in lead roles. A plus plus for that. A
Her
plus for
mother was
them
a
being
queen.
the queen, the teacher, the girls, just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I
So
agree
A
with you on
plus,
that.
A
A
plus
plus
for their
plus,
acting. They were phenomenal. I give
A
them an
plus
A plus for
plus.
that.
Yep.
The demon, yeah. I mean, giving it a 4 is stretching it for me, but I just trying to be kind. And then after that, I kind of feel like it went downhill. It would there was honestly for me, and I didn't realize it was PG-13. I guess I should have looked at that, but I felt like there was so many other things going on, the party, the relationship, the family cultural dinner, just too much for me to think about. I just wanted to be scared, and I wanted to be scared about this demon in the jar because I think the girls did a phenomenal job. Whenever the presence of the jar was around and the way they react, I thought they did a really good job. But all that other stuff was just extra for me, and it just kind of took away from some of the fear. I didn't feel any fear in the movie. The music didn't bring me there. It wasn't deep enough. It wasn't robust. Like I didn't get a rumbling in my chest. Sometimes you're like, oh no, what's coming? I didn't get any of that. And it kind of felt like a soap opera. It's so funny that you said that because there were some scenes where they were talking. I swear to God, all I wanted to hear was a violin. It's like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be scared. And I feel like I just stepped into a soap opera. So, I mean, unfortunately, I think that took away, a lot of to me, it was more of a drama than it was a horror film,
Yes, I agree.
but I mean, I'm not going to take away from the acting and the beautiful women because it was
Yeah.
all there. But the rest, for me, it just wasn't. I will say the scene where the mom turns around and turns into that creature, and granted, we've seen it 1,000 times, but the crackling bones, that's always scary to me, and the head turning, and anybody doing a back bend coming my way, that you get 5 right there just for that alone because that's frightening. So, kudos for that. But and I just can we just touch on some other things? What I didn't understand the relationship between the teacher and Samita. I think it's Samita, the lead girl. She kept calling her Joyce. And I didn't see them together until the very end of the movie where they're at the dinner table. So I kept thinking, I know in private sector, the students always call their teachers by their first name, but I've never seen it anyplace else. And so I was shocked when she said, she gave her the exam and said, here, Joyce. And she kept calling her Joyce in the hallway. I'm like, that's odd. What is the relationship? Is that her sister? You know what I mean? Why else would she call her Joyce like that? Because nobody else did. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but that's the first thing I noticed. I'm like, wow, she called her teacher Joyce. What? What? And I thought,
I didn't pick up on no one else calling her Joyce, but I assumed that um that it was the teacher's decision for the kids to call her Joyce. Because she seemed like one of those teachers that was, very in tune with the students and going above and beyond in terms of interacting with them. So,
yeah,
we've all had teachers that are like, oh, call me Tom.
yeah, maybe that was it. And then the other thing is, I think I'm not sure what ethnicity the teacher was, but I didn't think she was Indian. And she said something to the girls, we all need to stick together. And I thought, wait, are they all the same ethnicity? Is it a girl thing? Like, why did she say that? But then again, I saw her at the end of the movie at the dinner table. So I thought, well, maybe she is. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was odd that she said that because I didn't think they were the same ethnicity, but who knows? Maybe they were.
I didn't take that as because we're the same ethnicity. I would have definitely taken it as maybe a female thing. They were
I,
definitely not the same ethnicity, and I definitely didn't get that feeling like she was saying it for that reason.
Hmm.
I took it
Yeah,
like a
I
female
just.
thing, but
Mhm.
I took it as a female thing, like stick together. But I also felt like her, calling her Joyce was almost like disrespectful, kind of like a cry for help. Like if I want your attention, you know what I'm saying? I'm
Mhm.
gonna say, if I want you to take me seriously. I don't know. I took it like she was saying that to her. Maybe it was out of character for her and she was being out of character. So that Joyce would see this is not her norm. I mean, that's just how I took it. I
Hmm.
mean, back in high school, my theater teacher took us to a nightclub, and we still called him Mr. Coley. Rest in peace, Mr. Coley. Like, he took us to our first nightclub, and I love him. Still love him, even though he's been gone 30 something years now. But we never stopped calling him Mr. Coley, even in the nightclub.
That is so funny. That
Crazy,
is so funny.
crazy, definitely crazy.
I thought the
And
food in the
then,
movie looked amazing.
The
yeah, I
food,
thought they focused a lot on the
Kind-
food. I thought that was odd too. But then maybe it's part of because the demon itself um thrived
bed,
on flesh
bed.
and blood. So remember at the end when the girl's sitting at the table and she's the only one with meat on her dish. I don't know if you guys remember that. And they're all just sitting there looking to see what's going to happen when she eats it. So I thought, oh, maybe that's why they're showing all the food. Otherwise, why would you continually show the buffet? Like I didn't get
I don't
that.
know, but I was glad that they did. That was one of the pluses for me on the movie. I took it as more them as it being part of the cultural context.
Yeah,
You know, the family event where they were all wearing their like
yeah,
Oh
their
yeah.
custom, I don't even know what to call it, but the
attire. Yeah,
customary like outfits, yeah.
yeah,
And so that's how I took it. It was like the food, the clothes, the culture, the spirit,
yeah.
the evil
So
demon was
who was
represented.
the? I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry. Who was the director and the writer, the
His name is
producer?
Vishal Dutta, Bishaldutta.
Okay, so he's of Indian descent, I assume.
I think so. That probably
Is
explains
that
a
like
lot
his
of the,
first movie or his first horror movie or his?
I don't know.
It
I
didn't say.
personally, they could have taken all that out of the movie for me. Like it didn't help make it scary. It
Yeah, it didn't.
introduced me to
oh,
stuff,
for
which
sure.
is
No,
great,
it didn't.
but
But
I
it just
didn't
gave
need to see it.
context to if you've never had any, and there's probably some people who haven't had any exposure to
It's true.
an Indian family, it would give you some idea of what their lives are like. A
Right.
teeny window.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
I liked it.
was trying to
You know
look
what I
up this
noticed? There was a lot
show.
of crawling in the movie. I don't know if you guys noticed, but every time
Uh,
the
well,
creature came, everybody was crawling backwards. Everybody. Like nobody got up and ran. They just kept crawling. I was like, wait a minute. Why are
yeah,
you crawling?
I
It
could
was
run much
weird.
faster than I could crawl, but
But yeah, it was just weird to me.
Yeah, I thought I think this movie, the aspect of it that felt like a soap opera or drama, I find that very prevalent in Indian movies. It's
Correct. Me
that
too.
Bollywood kind of
Yep. Yep.
overly dramatized,
Yep.
you know.
Agreed. Agreed.
And so that's kind
Agreed.
of what was for me. Like I said, it was perfectly fine. I thought the family was lovely, but it just felt like an after school special. Like I said, a soap
Yeah.
opera.
It
It
just
just
took
didn't
away
feel
from
like,
agreed.
I almost
Agreed.
didn't want anything bad to happen to this family. That's how
right.
Exactly. They were
Yeah,
too nice. Exactly.
too nice
they
and
were
too
very.
normal.
Yeah, they were very nice. That was very different for horror movies
Yeah.
because usually the parents aren't getting along or they're already divorced,
Yeah.
single family thing. So there's all that other dynamic. But I did like that they were very close, and that's probably like the cultural aspect that they
Right.
brought that he
Right.
brought into the movie. Like that is probably. I
Right.
mean, I don't know if I've ever met any
Yeah.
people of that culture that say they're divorced or they're separate, like they have other families and the rest of their family is still in that country and they're here, but I
Yeah.
don't know if I've ever. And I work with a lot of people from diverse backgrounds, so that was new. They do generally tend to have a cohesive family component
Yeah.
that they added to the movie that you don't see in
Right. Right.
other.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
the girl
Good
going
point.
to her mom was like, I mean, usually what we see is five teenagers all living in homes that are mansions with no parents anywhere in sight, and they're all scrambling, trying to figure out how to stop somebody from killing them or a demon. Nobody
Right.
ever talks to their parents. Nobody ever
Right.
says, "Help me, somebody's coming after me." But she went right to her mom, and her mom was like, "Yep, I feel you. Let's get on this. Let's put up a
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
solution and let's
love
work on
that.
it."
I did love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So,
so. The family was so adorable.
yeah,
Said
they
it's
were.
hard to
They
hate
were.
anything in that movie.
They were.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. It was
Yeah.
good.
That's why I
It
say
was-
it was more of a drama than a horror film to me.
It was 100%
I
a
found
drama.
the monster was scary though. I was afraid of him. I
Was
was,
he? You know what? It was the eyes did it for me. As soon as I saw the shape of he literally looked like a 6'5" Godzilla. He had like the head and the kind of,
Those
what are those
like
things
oh,
called?
the,
thorns,
yeah,
And the
those,
like the
red
thorns or
glowing
spikes.
eyes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just thought, he look, you know what? I was like, Venom was scarier than that.
hmm.
The movie, I know, but it was an adorable movie. So I don't have a
So
problem with it. It
let
just
me ask
wasn't
you
at
this,
all
right? You
scary.
know how the demon, like it got the father and it stuck him in the back and he went up and he fell. I thought he died. And I guess not, because then I remember her calling or yelling, Mom, he's still breathing or something. Because then I saw him at the end at the table, along with the teacher who I thought was also dead, but she was also at the table. So it's like everybody's coming back. How about the poor guy on the swing? Man, if that wasn't a good scene, they did
That
a
was the best.
good
I
job
was
with that.
just getting to that. A+ for
A
originality.
plus
I've
plus for
never
that.
seen that scene before.
That's good.
Good job with that.
Good
Now,
job.
first of all, they broken into a house that nobody was in, which I thought, oh, that's weird, right? They just went in twice, not once, but twice went into the house. But that's scene in the swing. I was like, okay, that's new. You keep them coming
Yes.
like that, you get a 5 from me. Because that
Yes.
was different.
Yep.
I'll
I
be
have
right.
that. I had that noted as well.
I would be interested to see if there is another movie by that same person. I would want to see it because I feel like a lot of times, there's something there. You know what I mean? There is something there. Maybe eliminate some of the drama and make it more horror. But I feel like if he did something more, it would progressively get better. I think he would just perfect it.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that he could perfect it. I think so.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the director. I don't think that there was anything wrong with the directing of the film. I thought he did a good job. Um, but I don't know who wrote the screenplay, I don't know who was responsible for the special effects. But I thought the director did a good job. He kept the movie going along, he introduced us to the characters. I thought the transitions were good. I thought the director did a good job. I just don't think it was, yeah, wasn't scary. What was his name again? Buddha something? What was his name?
Bishal,
Vishal.
Oh,
Bishal,
no.
Duta,
Duta. Oh, okay, Duta.
Duta, yeah.
Okay, well, he's directed. Let's see.
Yeah, and I felt like the movie touched on a lot of things that I just didn't want to think about in a horror film. Like they touched on assimilating and
Oh yeah.
prejudices, and I was like, that's too heavy. I don't want to have to think about, you know what I mean? I know it happens. I know they're gonna have issues, but we're trying to focus on what's in that jar and the demon. So let's just focus there and then put all that other stuff in another movie where I don't have to you know, it doesn't take away from the fact that this is a horror film because those things are horrible, but they're not in this, that's not something I want to see in a horror film.
So I was pulling up Mr. Bishal Duda's interview, and they asked him, where the creature from the movie came from. And he says, one of the stories I grew up hearing from my grandfather was supposedly when he was in his 20s, a young man in India, he went to a family friend's place, and the friend's daughter had this jar she was carrying around. She was talking to it, and it was empty. And my grandfather says, hey, there's nothing in there, right? And so the girl angrily opens the lid and throws something at him. And it's, nothing comes out of it. But after that, he starts hearing noises in the middle of the night. He hears horses galloping around him. That's interesting.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But the way he described it, and this makes it make more sense, is he says it's sort of a coming of age story is in the backdrop. And that's the coming of age part is the part I think that Whaley and I are kind of responding to, which is that it was sort of a drama. It was sort of a feel
Right,
good horror movie, if that's
right.
one possible.
Yeah,
So it had that coming of age, and it definitely
yeah,
felt like it was not for somebody my age. It felt like it was targeted towards teenagers.
yeah.
Um, so that makes sense. And like I said, then it's just the whole cultural. And then he says it's a love letter to so many different kinds of films. Oh,
Yeah.
he thinks it references 80s slasher films. He said he was thinking about movies like Poltergeist and Nightmare on Elm
Uh-oh.
Street.
Uh-oh. Where's
Nightmare.
she from?
Exactly.
Nightmare.
He says there's certain kind of suburban. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because he said there was a certain kind of suburban experience. I grew up in the suburbs, so when I moved to this country, I was growing up in the suburbs. I looked at many of these films to help me understand what it meant to be American.
You can tell. You can. Yeah.
Yeah, now it's all making sense, right?
Yeah. I would say, I would say take all of that stuff out next time. Like, if you're gonna do horror, just think about horror and try not to put all that other stuff in because it's just too much. It's like a hodgepodge. It's too much. You don't
I
need to be
think you
coming
can
of
weave
age in the
it.
middle of a horror film, trying to assimilate, living in the suburbs. It just,
I
you can't do that.
was like a
It was
smorgasbord.
a lot. It was a lot. But I think you can have like some of that in the background. It just has to be more subtle.
More subtle, yeah, not
Yeah.
so like forefront, not like that is
Yes,
not the story,
exactly.
just like hints of it,
Exactly.
wafting
Exactly.
through.
Exactly.
So he
And
talks about, okay, I love so they said, do you want to stay within the horror genre or do you want to make other genre movies? And he says, I love the horror genre and I certainly want to make more films within the horror
Oh,
genre.
nice.
I know I want to do all kinds of films, but the thing is, no matter what the genre, the thing I can't leave behind, I feel like is suspense. It lives inside. It's less about wall to wall, visceral, gory action. It's more about suspense and drawing out tension.
which I think it missed. Honestly, I didn't, that's the
Yeah, I
one
didn't
piece
get
I
that
felt was
either.
missing,
I
right?
didn't get a lot of like I definitely was going wondering what was going to happen, but not because they made that, just because that's what I do in every movie. I'm like, what is going to happen? Sometimes I build especially with horror movies, I build myself up for this. So I
Right.
have to be
Right.
aware when I'm also reviewing them that not to review it based on that. So I always want like the wow. I want every movie to wow me. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't feel any like I didn't feel it suspenseful at all. Like I felt like we knew, what we knew something was in that jar that was dangerous. We knew that
Yeah, we get
Right.
that.
I also know that there are a lot of like, different cultural beliefs for things that, you know, are so like real for people. Is you
Yeah.
might bring it to somebody who doesn't believe it. You
Correct.
do certain
Correct.
things and they're like, oh no. If you brush my foot with a broom, I still lose my mind. I can't stand people sweeping around my feet. It's my mother brought us up with that, and you have to spit on the broom, and it's still a cultural thing, and I still do it. If somebody brushes around my feet, you would think there's like a mouse running around me because I have to get away from it. So I know that there are cultural things that people do, and that it's more like prominent for them. And I had that feel for them. Like I know that for her something is in that jar, so I believe it too. I was right there with her, but I
Right.
was waiting for the suspense to build, and it really didn't
Yeah.
build. It was kind of like something's there, and it was even across the board for me. I don't think it was bad. I think it was new, like, new at something. I feel like maybe, like you just said, all those components try to put in at once maybe made it fall flat from horror because throwing in all those other aspects. But ultimately, I thought it was a decent movie. I didn't think it was, it wasn't of the scariest. It was definitely probably a younger generation person's movie. But I liked it. I would give it a 2.
I know. She after does that make any sense? I start out by saying I didn't hate the film. I had nothing bad to say about it. And even I would give it a 2.5.
Right?
What?
I mean, on a scale of
Wait, what
What's
you
wrong with
just
the
blew
guy?
my mind.
I know, I saw your face. I saw your face. Well, I feel like I was being too generous when we first started doing our reviews, and everybody like if I, but I didn't jump at all. Like the scariest thing for me was the bending backwards and crawling because I'm like you. When that happens, that's the scariest thing for me. If somebody stops like bones cracking and suddenly they're like back flipping and running at
Yeah.
me, I
Yeah, yeah,
freeze.
yeah.
That would be the one thing I wouldn't be able to like move. I think I'd be in such an awe, like, oh my God, this hurt. Like I cannot, I can't even close to doing the back bend. So I think that would be if you want to kill me, that would probably be the way to do it. Back bend and shoot me, and that would be over for me. It's that whole thing. That was the scariest element for me. Like I almost couldn't look. I can feel myself, tensing up. But of the whole movie, that was the one thing that was. I don't think the storyline was bad at all. The acting was very good. The people were beautiful, and I did love the film. On a horror basis, like basing my scale on horror, I have to say 2, and that's high considering I only jumped that one time, even though I felt like the monster was. He scared me. I felt like he was scary. I would have ran from him if I saw him, bumps and all. I don't know, like just the shadow of him having all that. I can't imagine what seeing him, but knowing that he's powerful enough to go in that jar and still come out and be this big force, and how he thrives off of your faults, your loneliness, your flaws. He can sense them. That was scary to me. So that would have made me fall apart. But ultimately in the movie, the only thing that made me really cringe was the mother in the kitchen in the corner.
And I always say, for me, it's always the sound, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the sound, that's the first thing you're going to hear. Obviously, first thing you're going to hear, but that's the first thing that will probably grab your attention is the sound. We can all relate to sound. We might not all relate to the language, but we can all relate to bones cracking. We know what that is. And so for me, like if you don't have the music, like, the thrill, the intensity, the white noise in the back, something to kind of just bring me and just make me feel like, oh, snap, something's about to happen. I mean, that's all about the sound. And for me, the sound, it just wasn't there. But I'm shocked that you're giving it a 2, because I was going to give it a 2.5, maybe even a 2.75. And I really didn't even like it. I would not see it again. I would not see it again, but if someone said, "Hey, should I go see that movie?" I'd say, "Yeah, yeah, go see it. It's not bad." But no, so now I don't even know. Maybe I'm giving it too high of a score.
I can't give it, I mean, well,
Wow.
we're all going to rate things differently. The way that I
Yeah.
think about it is, scares are the most important. That gets you
Yeah.
to the 5. But
Yeah.
you said the other things are important too. I don't want to watch a movie where like my eyes are rolling in the back of my head because the acting is horrible or the plot is stupid or it's so absurd. Like, they're gonna get credit for making a good movie. He
Yeah.
made a good movie, right? If this was just a general rating of movies, I'd give it a 3. If you have 2 hours to spend and you just want to watch something pleasant, it's perfectly fine. Like I really don't have any flaws with it other than there's not a lot of originality. But I think that India as a country has a long way to go in terms of the horror genre from what I've seen.
I
I've
would
not seen
agree.
many scary movies out of India.
I would agree.
But I did, I think the movie deserves credit for many things. And I didn't realize it was PG-13 either, but even the fact that it's PG-13 says, this is as good as I watched Bedeviled last night. And this was definitely as good as that movie was.
What's that on?
Is that a horror
Oh,
film?
Bedevil's old. It came out like maybe 5, I don't know, 10 years ago. It's one of those movies that I would never even recommend for us to watch and discuss because it kind of fits into this category. I feel like it's a movie for teenagers, and you
Is
almost
it
think
a
it's
horror
made by
film?
teenagers. Huh?
Is it a horror
So it's a
film?
movie about these teenagers. One of them gets an app on their phone. The app called Bedeviled starts talking to them, and it won't shut off. So it's telling them, "I see that you're doing your homework and all this kind of stuff," and then they all freak out, and then
Oh
they
yeah.
start having visions. Apparently, the app knows what you're afraid of, and it'll show you, like, it'll scare you by using the app.
That's a
Right?
scary thought.
It's a scary thought,
Mhm.
right?
Scary. Yeah.
Only teenagers would not know how to solve that problem, right? The rest of
Right.
us would just leave it to
Silly thing.
but they are incapable of it. Phone broke, screen cracked, and they're still right. But that's what you expect, right? And so it was fine. Like I said, it was perfectly fine. I didn't have a problem with it. It was just like, okay, this was something to waste 2 hours on. But is it a good horror movie? By no stretch of the imagination. It literally is meant for a Saturday night date. And it checked the boxes on that. But you know, we've all seen movies like that. They're just
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Of course, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and this falls into this category. It's nothing bad about it. Nothing can't complain about it. It just
Well, as much as I thought like The Ring was a crazy, like, whoever watches the tape is going to die in 7 days. You wouldn't watch the tape. Like, I'm not that curious about it. I know you watched it and you're dead. I'm good. But I find that movie to be horrifying. Horrifying. She crawls out of that TV and I'm done here. I was like, I mean, I literally was like, I couldn't even get up off the chair the first time I saw that. And every time I see it on, I watch it. Even though particularly good, she climbs out of that well, like, I'm like Samora. Like, I don't even want to know anybody whose name is close to that. The thing terrified me. She terrified me. And, I don't blame her. But I think the fact that, she was a child kind of makes it that much scarier for me. Like, I don't believe her. I don't blame her for being pissed off and coming back and wanting to hurt people, because she was hurt and she should not have been. But literally, when she climbed out of that television, I was like, this is what happens. I mean, I thought it was kind of stupid when they find them. They're all like, kind of terrified in the face, but they're dead. And I'm like, what kind of thing is this? I still find that movie to be like scary, and I watch it every time I see it. I don't like seek it out, but if I turn the television, it's on, I'm like, it's gonna stay on. It's gonna stay on. And I'm gonna sit down when that part comes on. I just love being stuck to my seat and not being able to get up when she climbs out of that TV.
I think that most horror fans would put The Ring on the best horror movies of all time list. So I think everybody agrees with you there. I would say I hear your point about I would not be watching that videotape either. I'm gonna give them some slack because the movie's like probably 20 years old. That maybe if somebody said to me, oh, they watched this videotape, I might be skeptical enough. But I'm like, this is 2023. Like, I feel like we've seen enough. Like, these kids grew up after that movie. Like,
Yeah.
put your phone down.
Right.
But I thought it was part of the horror was that they absolutely could not separate themselves from their phones.
And
They
that, yeah,
But
right.
that's just in general, right? People can't separate themselves from their phone, period. Right? Whether you're 13 or 53, people seem to not be able to let the phone down.
No, I would disagree with that. Most
Oh, I
people,
don't. Yeah, I know people who just can't put their phone down.
I do too. I know people of all ages that can't do that. I find that it's most prevalent among the young because most of us aren't used to having phones around. Like my friends, I can call them and they don't automatically pick up. Like they're not sitting on their phones. They're not, if we go have dinner, they're not texting the whole time. I mean, you go with kids these days anywhere and you try to tell them to keep oh, you don't need to bring that into the restaurant. They're like, what? It's like saying you can't bring your head into the restaurant. They're like, well, how am I supposed to eat? How am I supposed to eat? Like they can't do it. Most people in there, I don't find that. I don't see people when I'm out like having coffee in the mornings. They're not on their phones like that. But it is. But we haven't grown up with it. We know what it's like to miss calls. We know what it's like to not hear from people for days. We know what it's like not to get an immediate answer. These young kids don't. I mean, the girls were here one time. I went to the store and I swear one of them called me 3 times. Like there's just a different era. Can you imagine picking up the phone and calling your mother 3 times in 20 minutes? What? What? The house better have burned down. You better have been run over by a car. Like it better been 3 things happened because each call required an emergency. But it's just a different, and and everybody knows that. Like this is the reason
Everything
movies
is an
are
emergency.
teenagers doing that is because
Right.
you're not going to have a movie with 50-year-olds like, oh my God, this app is like beating me up. And they don't know what to do. Yes, we do. We will throw it away, go get a phone, plug it into the wall, write down everybody's number in a notepad.
So what I think will probably happen is we'd probably be so pissed at the app. We'd probably piss off the app itself. Now, what button do I press? The app would just delete itself automatically. I can't
Exactly.
deal with this person. Act like they
What
never
you
had
mean you
phone
see me
before.
right now? Where you at? I wish you would. I
See me
wish you.
doing this.
I know when I walk in that living room, you better not be in there. Like I just
Right?
think kids are just
Yeah,
different.
you're right about that. I'd be like, you see me doing this? Get out my house. If you pay rent in here, if you ain't paying no rent, you better leave. You got the mortgage this month. See you later. Yeah, you're definitely right about that. That monster would be like, let me go bother somebody else. She's too unbothered. I don't see too much. Like, oh Lord. I'm like,
She was a lot of work. She was a lot of work. I don't have time to scare her. She's scaring me. Like
you can't scare me more than some of these presidents. You can't scare me at all. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but like movies like that, I feel like, you can get past that joke. Like, okay, these kids can't just put down the phone and you can still enjoy the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I feel like, so this is not a bad film. I would absolutely watch his second, third efforts, any efforts that he makes. I think he's just a good
I
director.
think that would actually make for a good like horror movie. You know how like the Wayans brothers do, like try to scare old people on an app. That would be a very funny. That would be a very funny movie right there.
Very funny movie and very short movie. Now wait a minute. Now wait a minute. What button do I press? Okay, you saying you're gonna come kill me if I press the button, but what button? Like we wouldn't even know what button. They could say they'd be like, "Oh my God, find somebody else."
We're like, I'm just never gonna press the button. You watch me all day. You're gonna be bored watching me sleep half the time.
You'll be throwing their popcorn at the screen. Press the damn button. What the hell?
This would be me all day. Because I swear the bifocals ain't working. And they'd be like, why are you all up in the phone?
Back up. I can only see your nostrils. Back up.
Oh my God.
But you should watch Bedeviled. I mean, like I said, it's one of those movies, I wouldn't even recommend it, but it's not a bad movie. It's something to waste 2 hours of your time. There's a couple jump scares and it's
I
fine.
mean, why don't we do that next? I mean, it's a movie. We do good movies and we obviously do bad movies. So
Well, we had said that we were going to do movies or
by a woman, directed by a woman, right?
Oh, that's right. Oh, so what did you all rate it? Okay, so I gave it a 2, which you made me feel hella guilty about, but I gave it a 2.
I was giving it a 2.5.
2.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to make you feel guilty because I don't, but I just was expecting because you seemed, I was just was thinking you were going to say that.
What to expect? It's gonna come up out of here.
Apparently.
I know. That's
I mean,
obvious.
what do we got to do to get a 3 on that list?
Damn it. The whole movie.
I looked up.
The whole movie.
Let's see.
So ladies, I did look up and I'm happy to share my screen if you want me to. I looked up, shall I?
Yeah, sure.
What are you sharing?
My screen so you can see these female horror movies. I mean, these movies directed by
the list of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a list too. Let's see.
And when we talked about it, I was like, oh, there's probably not a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
And I've seen them all. That's what's so crazy.
I've seen some of them too. So let's just pick one off that list.
Okay. Where Sarah was really good. I just watched that.
What did you watch?
The Babadook was directed.
Oh, you guys can't see it. Can you?
I was just gonna say, if you say the Babadook, I can't do it. That was one of the worst movies I have ever seen in my life. I hated it. I hated it.
The Invitation.
Wait a minute. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
No, can you see the movies?
We can see your screen.
Sarah and Babadook. I could see those.
Oh, okay, you can. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was okay. Well, Sarah was good, but you may not like it. I mean, I love the Babadook, and you see a lot of other people did like it too. But
you loved
Sarah is along those same lines, but I thought it was excellent.
Hated it.
The Babadook, since we've already all seen it and talked about it.
Yeah.
Hellbender was excellent. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, one of my favorites, but not. Yeah, but it's not. No, it's not a typical scary movie. It's one of those art house kind of scary movies. Raw, Saint Maud, I thought was going to be better, but I did enjoy it. It was more of a psychological thriller. Relic was good. Piggy was good. So I've seen like almost. I can't believe I've seen like all these movies. Well, which one should we see then, guys? You want to do Huesera?
I mean, you just said it wasn't that good. I don't want to.
No, I didn't say that.
What did you say?
No, I said Huesera is excellent.
Oh, okay.
I want excellent. I need excellent.
But my version of excellent. I didn't recommend half of these movies because they're foreign films. I personally think that if you watch a foreign film and it's dubbed, you're robbing yourself of any of the actors acting, right? Because the people who dub aren't the same people and they
Right.
don't even act the same.
But
Right.
That's why I haven't. Mhm.
did you find something by a woman?
All of
This
these.
whole list.
Oh,
This whole
these
list
are
is-
all by women. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
but they're not. I'm
Oh,
saying that when I went to the list, I was surprised I had seen so many of them, but then I realized the reason I didn't recommend them is because a lot of these are foreign films.
Oh,
So
I
if we
had
want to
no
do an English
idea.
one,
Mm.
maybe what about oh no, that's foreign too. What are any of these on this list for you then, Whaley, that you think we should watch?
I mean, just pick one. I don't really care which one you pick. You can do the one you just said, Grisetta or whatever it was.
Right, but I just said not everybody wants to watch a foreign language film. So, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. What about, has anybody seen You Are Not My Mother?
I
Mm-mm.
have to see the previews.
No, I never saw that. Yeah, can we see the previews or something?
Okay, let's see if I can pull it up. I'm suggesting that one only because I haven't seen it either. So it might be good for us to all see something together. Can you see it?
Can't hear it, but I can see it. Oh. Oh, okay.
Okay. Has she gone missing before? That's in a long time. What about your mom? She all right? Doesn't feel like.
Think you should take it easy at the moment.
Where did she go?
Looks good.
Let's do that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's do that one.
that looks
You are
good.
not my mother. Okay.
Not my mother. Okay, awesome.
Sounds like a
Awesome.
plan.
I'm looking forward to that. So are we next Sunday? Are we on? Is that the date?
So we're kind of off schedule, but you guys tell me if we're gonna do it, we do it. We can do it whenever. We do it this coming, or we can skip like we typically do.
I'm good. I don't have another thing planned yet, but I'm working on it.
All right, so we want to plan for this coming Sunday?
That works for me.
Perfect. All right, well,
Wait a minute. Did everybody get the name of it down?
you are my, can you send it to us?
Yeah,
I will.
Okay.
Although I don't know if I wrote down the name.
you're not. You're not my
Huh?
mother.
You're not
you're-
my mother. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, You're Not My Mother.
Awesome.
All
It
right,
looks
well,
good. It
thank
looks
you.
like an Irish film, so that'd be fun. We can also
Yeah,
see
it'll be fun. I think
cultural
it'll be
film.
fun. Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Again, this is Girl Talk 9.0. We'll see you next time. Thanks and have a great one. Bye all. Bye.
Jazzy.